The City of Danville City Council meeting Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 at 6:32 p.m. And we have a roll call.
Featherston here.
Kind here.
Pesky here.
Perrin here.
Oregon here. Hoopman here. And we have tonight, and just so everybody knows, we have our first Navy Youth Council. So this is Max Koopman. He is doing his senior project on local government. So we've invited him to join us at the table tonight. He obviously is not a voting member and will not take part in discussions, but is just sitting to learn and educate himself. He has been provided with both a packet and an agenda and a copy of potential scripts. And because we're moving into the flag salute, he's going to lead us tonight in the flag salute, if you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
And also titles that Justice Earl.
Did it?
Yeah.
All right, so now moving on to agenda updates or additions. So we do have one listed, is to add the contract for the Dahlia Mainline CIP project to the consent agenda, which is reflected in the packet and the agenda already. Do we have anything else?
No, that is the only thing.
Fantastic. Do we have online the representative from AKS for the presentation for the Parks Master Plan? Fantastic.
All right, here we are. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Zach. I'm a land use planner with AKS. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So you've got Kirsty on here too. Kirsty is my colleague at AKS helping me manage this alongside the city staff. And so we want to just kind of check in with you all. It's been a while since we kicked the project off early last year, actually, and want to just check in and give you a quick update on the status of the work, what we've done so far. Spend probably the bulk of our time today, no more than 10 minutes, I promise, giving you an update on some of the feedback that we've received from the community in response to a month-long online survey that we hosted, and to kind of just give you the flavor of the community's values as they relate to what we should be thinking about as far as parks planning and updates for future parks, and then conclude by getting some of your feedback. We really want to just check in to make sure that we're going in the right direction, and then we're asking the right questions and thinking about the right things as we move into the next steps for this Parks Master Plan update, which will be to start to prepare some concepts and put some cost estimates together with those concepts for park improvements. So this is a good time to kind of check in with you and do that. I've got a brief PowerPoint to share if I'm able to do that. Just 1 minute. All right. Perfect. So let's see here. Share that screen. Okay. So you should have the full screen view now. Is that right? You got the full screen?
Yeah, we do, Zach.
Great. Well, thanks again for taking time tonight to let us give you a quick update here. So essentially, we wanted to cover kind of the scope of the entire Parks Master Plan project. Like I said before, we want to give you a quick update on some of the key findings that we've heard from the public so far based on our community outreach, and then talk about next steps with the goal of getting your feedback and making sure that we're on the right track. So essentially what we're doing with this park update is really to make sure that for the next 20 years, as the city plans for investments in its parks over the next 20 years, that we're thinking about improvements to parks, we're thinking about maintenance and other programming that aligns with the community's values and the community's budgets for parks. So essentially, you know, we're trying to define what the community values, what needs to be fixed or added, and how we can pay for it, essentially. What we've completed so far are kind of the early, I would say sort of the existing conditions portion of the work. So we've been researching your prior parks planning related documents, and that includes the city's comprehensive plan and the city's prior parks master plan, to understand what have been the city's adopted policies and goals as they relate to parks planning in the city. And we've completed some existing conditions work to assess the characteristics, the amenities offered at different parks and the condition of those amenities, so we can understand kind of what condition those different facilities are in. And then we've completed a public outreach survey to ask your residents and other area park users sort of what they value and where they think the city should focus their efforts over the next 20 years. So like I said, we're gonna spend kind of the bulk of the discussion tonight talking about that public outreach survey. So we had a really great response to both an online survey and a hard copy survey that the city administered for about a 30-day period at the end of 2025. It ran from December 5th to January 5th. We got a total of 91 responses, which is really excellent for a project like this. The majority of those respondents were City Yamhill residents, but a good chunk of them were residents that resided in kind of the greater Yamhill area, so within that zip code. The majority of the outreach to folks came in the form of social media via the city's website, and then word of mouth communication. So I'm going to start by talking about some of the high level themes that we heard from the survey, and then I'm going to drill down into the individual feedback, that we received on the individual parks themselves. And you'll see for sure that there are clear themes here. One of the clearest themes we heard is that there's really overwhelming support from your residents and from survey respondents to really prioritize maintenance of existing parks and improving existing parks. So the majority of people don't believe that the city needs to add new parks, but really should focus efforts on improving the maintenance and improving the facilities at those existing parks. Some of those improvements that were called out most frequently were things like trails, a community center, rental spaces, other kind of family-friendly amenities like splash pads, restrooms, things that I guess that you would likely expect. But one other thing that came up pretty frequently was just an improved awareness of I guess the parks themselves, but also like events that the city holds at those parks. So things like concerts and markets, making the public more aware of, I guess, what's available at those parks and how to use those parks.
And Zach, I would add too that I think there was actually generally very positive feedback about the parks as they are as well.
Agreed. Thanks, Kirsty. So let's take just another 5 minutes, kind of run through the feedback relative to the three existing city parks and how that relates to the key trends. So we'll start with Beulah Park. Beulah Park is likely the most popular park in town. The majority of respondents said that they access the park on foot or they live within a very close geographic area of the park. the most commonly used amenity there is the playground. Overall, there's a high level of satisfaction, I'd say, with the park. Pretty close to 3 out of 4 people gave that a satisfaction rating of about 3 to 4. The survey broke the overall satisfaction down into a variety of categories, including like the amount of amenities or the condition of the amenities, and then an overall score. But overall, I think people are generally satisfied with the park. But they did note some key barriers, including aging equipment, accessibility issues, and recommended that things like updating the playground, reconstructing the bingo hall, including more places for activities and gatherings places would be things that would be helpful in making that park more attractive and more usable long term. Next park is Jane Heinrich Park. So this park tends to draw users from a little bit further away. The overall satisfaction with Jane Heinrich Park is a little bit lower than Beulah Park. People gave it about a 2.7 out of 4 compared to about a 2.9 with Beulah Park. I think the big responses we heard here were that the barriers were the lack of awareness of the park and unclear expectations about rules for dogs. That was something that came up quite a bit. Whether dogs could be off leash or not was something that came up quite a bit. Respondents also cited a lack of restrooms and confusing vehicle access as a major challenge to access to this park. So those are some things that we can think about in going forward. And I think in talking with your staff in follow up to this survey, those were things that they had heard previously as well. Survey respondents did point out some of the top needs are things like athletic fields, dog amenities, trail surfacing, clear signage and wayfinding, and like I mentioned, clear rules for use for dogs. Finally, feedback regarding Jonathan Calhoun Memorial Park. Overall satisfaction with that park is pretty high. It's relatively new. The big barriers there were just a lack of shade, lack of trees for shade, and limited awareness of that park. It's kind of a smaller neighborhood park. Users said that, there's probably some benefit in making a wider area aware of that park, but they were also sure to mention that they wanted to do that in a way that wasn't too impactful to area residents. So they were appreciative of the fact that that is a neighborhood park and they didn't want it to be too overused so that it would be a burden on nearby residents. That was an interesting and very thoughtful set of responses that we received about that park. So I think the big themes there are just providing more opportunities for shade. And those are simple things that the city could easily accommodate. So really across all of the parks and in general, I heard those consistent themes to maintain, upgrade aging equipment, improve accessibility. We heard a lot about the need for additional restrooms and things like that. And so those will be some of the things we'll be looking at as we develop concepts for these 3 additional parks and develop cost estimates and other ideas for the operation and programming for these parks going forward. I guess before I turn it over to you with questions and comments, I just want to kind of talk about what the next steps look like going forward. So following our meeting today, we'll start to put together some concepts for each of these 3 individual parks that are based on that existing conditions analysis that we did that include the feedback from these from this public survey, and then any comments that you give us tonight. Those concepts will then inform some higher level cost estimates that we'll put together to try to understand what is the kind of order of magnitude cost that the city should expect to spend on making some of those improvements. And then we'll look at what are the available sources of funding that the city might expect to see to make those improvements over the next 20 years. And then from that point forward, we'll bring that back to the city city council will bring that back to you and we'll talk to you about like how your priorities fall within that list of projects and programs relative to those costs, and try to put those in an order of priority for the city to work through going forward. So Kirsty, do you have anything to add before we open it up for Q&A?
I guess just to summarize, for each of the three parks, Beulah, will be focusing on the playground area for one, community center, and what that looks like, whether that's redoing the bingo hall or replacing that in the park, and other just kind of infrastructure improvements like that, and maybe some opportunities to combine community gathering spaces with a new community center. And then for Jane Henrik, looking at parking and providing restrooms and trail improvements. And then for Jonathan Calhoun, very minimal improvements, which might include, some tree planting, some signage and things like that, which might improve kind of the accessibility of that park.
That's a good summary, Kirsty. So I think with that, I guess I'd like to turn it over to you with any questions, I guess, but also to confirm if that feedback and that plan of action sounds consistent with what you've heard from your constituents, and that we're on the right path going forward. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you for your presentation. Council have any questions for AKS?
I do.
Yeah, go for it.
I guess to clarify first, what bingo hall is the one that's like the enclosed building,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't know if the outside part. So like when you say like the bingo improvements to the bingo hall, is that kind of like, does that also include like the other, I don't even know what you call them, the other buildings?
Concession booths.
Oh,
next-
yeah.
Yeah, or is that, did it seem like there was a need or that the respondents would like to see improvements to the bingo hall over the concession booths? Or
Yeah, I mean, a very good question. Both are in very poor condition right now, and I would probably require a lot of infrastructure, like structural, I should say, improvements to that. So I would recommend maybe looking at replacing both of those with a building that could maybe serve dual function in the park.
Yeah.
I think that would be more cost effective than trying to repair and bring the current ones up to code.
Okay, thank you.
Any other counselors with questions? I think it's only fair. Did anybody attending tonight have a question that they'd like to ask AKS? It's all of our parks. Hearing none, Public Works? Yeah, one more from
Did
Councilor
I just
Askey.
missed it? What's the timeline look like for like after today moving forward?
Yeah. Good question. So let me put this back up on the screen. I kind of glossed over this real quickly. So next step is to develop our park concepts. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So develop park concepts, and we're already starting on that now. And once we have those concepts in place, and again, that's going to be like Kirsty mentioned, the concept will include improvements like replacing the bingo hall and the vendor booths. We also heard like improving the, I guess, the electrical hookups for other vendors for events at that site. So we'll put together that package of improvements for each of those parks, and then we'll start to develop cost estimates for those, so that we can kind of understand what the total cost is and what are the resources required to make those improvements over time. That will be, I guess, that will sort of be the early draft framework of the package for the Parks Master Plan that will then come back to you to talk about. So we'll talk with you about, and we'll planning to come back to you in about May, to have you kind of review that, prioritize those improvements so that we can then kind of rearrange that list of projects in a way that kind of best meets your goals, and planning on having that final. So if we present a draft to you in May, we'll make revisions based on your feedback, and then we'll come back to you in June for final adoption. That's kind of where we're planning on right now.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, AKS, both
I
of
want to
you.
make a comment.
Oh, yes,
I'm
please.
sorry, it's just not a question, but it's a comment about the Jane Heinrich Park. I just want to commend the city workers for what they do down there. I mean, as soon as there are down limbs on the trail or anything that needs to be cleaned up, I walk it every day, and it's mucky this time of year, but it's mucky everywhere.
Yeah.
But they do a great job of making that nice for people to use. And there's a lot of people that do use it, but they do a good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would echo that was also reflected in the survey too, and just overall condition and cleanliness were things that ranked very high. So good job, great job.
Okay, Rocky, did you have something? AKS?
Yes, keeping in mind whatever the feedback is from the public, I think it's always going to be important to tailor what you can do with the money that's available. And I think that is really the best and the most proper approach.
Mhm.
Once you have a basic plan, at least with some ballpark ideas on cost, you can drill down on how much of that plan, and it can be a progressive thing. You do so much now and so much in the future.
100%, Rocky. So you nailed that exactly. So one of the beautiful things about having a Parks Master Plan with all the details that they're putting together is, for example, say the bingo hall and a community center. That gives you the opportunity to go out for grants to be able to fund that center. So it wasn't out of the general fund or the parks fund. And then this shows the folks on the other end of the grant, what we're doing, the work's been done, and then we're shovel ready, so to speak, with their check.
Another thought is when you're doing the survey, identifying what people mostly want and have some dollars tied to that, so that the very people that are saying, we'd like to have this, we'd like to have that, and you're paying for it. And then listen closely to what they have to say about, okay, everything aside, this, I'll prioritize it. This is the most important.
Sure. Beautiful. Thank you, Rocky.
Yep, that's good feedback. Thank you very much. And that is essentially what we'll accomplish here. We won't be able to get into, super fine details about what the city's financial forecast looks like over the next 20 years, but we're gonna take a shot at trying to understand what revenues are available, and then asking the city council to prioritize what these projects are, so that even, if a lot of times parks funding is very opportunistic, right? And there are funds that may come around that weren't planned for. But by having a prioritized list of projects, it really just helps provide that direction for the city on how to spend their funds when those opportunities come up.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll be looking forward to the next step.
Okay, thank you all. Really
Thank
appreciate
you very
your time.
much.
All right. Folks,
Have
have
a
a
good
great rest of your night.
You
Thank you.
too. Bye.
All right. Well, that was good. After presentations, this is everybody's favorite. We'll be moving into the second reading of our lighting ordinance. So this ordinance, yes, is to consider the second reading of 0544. So to make sure that we're thorough on this, I'm going to read the entire thing for the second reading by title only. Ordinance number 0544, an ordinance amending Yamhill Municipal Code, creating a new chapter, 10.66, exterior lighting standards, and amending chapter 10.08 definitions. Do we have any discussion?
I have a comment
Okay.
in regards to the lumens,
Mhm.
because there was a question as to how do you tell how many lumens there are? Those are actually on the boxes when you
When you buy them.
buy them. It actually tells you how many lumens in addition to how many watts are on the box or on in the light.
And there's formulas to convert those over and
Yes.
so forth. Yes.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
So that would be, in my opinion, an additional justified reason why there shouldn't be an issue. And for the most part, we don't have an issue on Maple or Highway 47, with the exception of the 2 gas stations.
And even those, when I went and drove around, I don't think they actually project out onto the street enough with their white light. It's a colored light, but you'd have to really measure it somehow.
Well, and
The school has some lights that are above the height requirements.
they do,
That would be a cost to the school if we push that issue at them.
but what one of these, what this is gonna help is the Shell gas station on the other end of town. They don't shut their lights out at all. And they're not open 24/7. And they don't allow people to get gas after they close either. So that's gonna be, and I know there's people down there that those lights are in their face all night and all day. So this is gonna be a benefit for the people that live down there. I think, anyway, it would be for me.
Yeah.
So. And yeah, I know the school has some lights, but I had to deal with one of those lights. And they were very helpful about getting it taken care of. And they actually even contacted PGE because in reality, it was a PGE light. It wasn't a school light, even though it appeared to be on school property. So I was a happy camper after it was fixed.
People can be happy with lighting ordinances.
Yeah.
Any more discussion on this one? Hearing no further did I hear further discussion?
No,
Hearing no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve this ordinance.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 0544, an ordinance amending Yamhill Municipal Code, creating a new chapter 10.66 exterior lighting standards and amending 10.08 definitions.
And do we have a second?
I second.
And a vote?
I'm still a no. I'm really undecided, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Or say you're not voting.
I'm not voting.
Ask yeah.
Karen, I.
Corrigan, aye. Motion passes 3-2.
0 and then abstain.
Say it again.
3-1-1.
And 1 abstain.
Yeah.
3-1-1.
3-1, 1 abstain.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
Somebody call Ken.
Right.
Alright.
Sorry, this is a long motion. I have to scroll through to the next. All right, on the topic of second readings. This would be considering a second reading of 0547. An ordinance by the city, by Yamhill City Council amending Yamhill Municipal Code, repealing chapter 1.08. Council rules established in ordinance 0-431. Easy for me to say. I think that we've all gone through this. Did we want to have discussion on this?
No.
All right.
Can I make a correction?
I was gonna say simply because I didn't say second reading, I'd like to reread it.
You did say second reading. It's
Yes, you did.
ordinance O dash 431.
So correction to ordinance O dash
431.
431.
I make a motion to approve ordinance O-547, an ordinance by the city of Yamhill City Council amending Yamhill Municipal Code, repealing chapter 1.08 council rules established in ordinance O-431.
I second.
Can we have a vote, please?
And I.
Featherston, I.
SKI.
Or did I?
There's no order.
All right. Well, that was easy. So moving on, public comment time. I don't know if anybody thought we neglected you today, but we did not. We just moved things around. I have suspicion that Robert Davis, first on the list, would like to speak, although you did not check tonight. Yes.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. I won't say anything because you did pass what I was going to speak about. Thank you so much.
Well, fantastic. All right, moving on, Pam Kirsch. Oh, I'm sorry, that is a no. It was Rocky Lossley had asked to speak. Please, Mr. Lossley, go ahead.
I only have 3 minutes, so I gotta be brief. I'm concerned about the planning commission not having meetings every month because, and this is the reason, there is more work to be done by the planning commission, who also is identified as a citizens advisory committee. And the volume of work that they really have to do is unbelievable. A tremendous amount. And in order for that work to be done well, that means there has to be application. That means people have to be very, very busy to do their due diligence in order to present to this council what the planning commission believes is in the best interest of the city. That does not always take place. The next item has to do with city contract work. And so we have a city engineer, that same contractor does construction work. What I may not really fully understand is how many bids the city council will get before they approve construction of any kind. And in this day, I think it's very important to make sure that you have appropriate specifications and at least minimum specifications, because there are some things you can save money by design build. You design it, somebody builds it. And all you do is you ask for, what is it, an RFP? Is that right? RFP. You ask for an RFP, talk to a lot, try to get a lot of people to come and provide a bid. It's all about the money today, and we don't have much of it. The next item has to do with, I would like to see all the city departments come together and meet with not only the city council, but the city planning commission. And the purpose of that would be for department heads to present, and I mean in some detail, present their vision for this city. And there needs to be some ground rules identified to those department heads identifying. And so every department, that includes city police. And folks, it also includes your local fire department, which gets excluded most of the time. And you should absolutely demand that a representative from fire be here at any kind of planning meeting, because this city represents the largest single amount of valuation for the size of area that it is. And you this is your opportunity to speak to those folks. It's an opportunity for them to understand expectations that you have. And I think that it could be extremely valuable in terms of looking at the future, budgeting, looking long range. I gotta hurry because I'm getting close to my 3 minutes. So maybe I have covered it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. Some great things there, honestly. Do we have anybody else that would like to speak for public comment? They did not sign up. Do we have anybody online that was wanting to speak for public comment?
May I forgot to sign, or.
Yeah, please.
So on behalf of the Yamhill Downtown Association, I could just give a quick brief comment or update too. So I'm Jenny Morrison, 20051 Northwest Adcock Road. I'm on the Yamhill Downtown Association, and we are working on some plans for this coming year. And one thing I wanted to mention that we want to get city council behind is we're doing some community potlucks. And we're gonna, we were inspired by an example from a city in Vermont that was doing monthly community potlucks that reached across the population of the people. They had regular time for people to get together, to just truly everybody just bring something, they meet in a community hall, and then they have a slideshow where you could like share up, like, oh, I'm doing this, or my group is doing this, or my club's doing this, or whatever. And it was just a really wonderful idea. So based on that, we were kind of inspired to at least get some quarterly potluck efforts going, where we would love to have city council involved in that as well, at least some members to participate. It should just be fun and relaxed. We can tie it in with Yamhill Downtown Association regular board meetings, like the public portion of that. So there's that. And then there's also July 5th, we have it scheduled at Beulah Park. There's something through the Oregon Main Street organization that we're a member of for the America 250 for the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And we're going to be doing a community potluck in Beulah Park, and probably tying in with the city of Carlton in some capacity because they're doing things that weekend. So more to come on that, but I just wanted to put that out there, get it on your calendars, and just keep that in mind. So that's some stuff we're working on.
Fantastic. Good work.
Thank you.
If there's not anybody else, we will move on. So we are on to department reports. City administrator report, I'll keep it pretty brief tonight. Kind of excited working in this. I'll leave most of this for you, Mr. Wofford, to celebrate as the finally get started on that North Olive Street water project. We've got a lot going on there and some good work getting done. Our fancy flashing stop sign, very excited about that. An amazing success rate. It was, if you don't know, it's installed over on the corner of Olive and Main Street, which was one of the most commonly run stop signs in town. And people are no longer running that stop sign because it is pretty obvious that you should stop there now. So with that, and then sort of moving along towards some plans that we have with the Economic Development Committee, which we'll be getting to later, so we'll pass on that. Probably just kind of wrap that up there and move on to the city recorder's report.
Oh, I provided a report, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you not want to speak to it? I can go over it.
Yeah, you can go over it. That'd be
Sure,
great.
if you would like. So she has the business license and OLCC permits, processing 2 new licenses this month. Both of them received OLCC recommendations from the city, and one business owner retiring after many years at Yamhill, and she was the hairdresser right here whose name eludes me right now. D, yes, so thank you, D. Jeff the Beaver update. Jeff the Beaver was very popular on Facebook, receiving 149 reactions and 8,316 views. We also found out, this is not part of her report, and no, you don't have to do extra work. The zoo actually has a beaver that they use in lieu of the groundhog to predict
Mhm.
the spring. So we thought maybe next year we'll put out a couple plates of food for Jeff and see if he's got any skill in that area.
I haven't had a chance to go down and look yet.
We'll have to check in on Jeff, make sure he's minding his manners. She is also very excited, it says, that she has processed the last compliance application for Park Meadows subdivision, which was processed a demolition compliance app for a longtime vacant house on Main Street. So good job to our elected building official. Just kidding, she is not the building
I
official.
have a question, or just a quick one. Where D moved out, is somebody moving in there
Yes,
right away?
yes.
Okay.
And then so moving into code enforcement, she's processed a couple of ordinance violation letters for parking enforcement. An intent to lien for unpaid water billing. And seems to have wrapped that up. Yeah. The financial report, there was nothing out of the ordinary that was reported.
I have a question.
Okay, on the financial report?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna say this and not just blow it. Payroll expenses. I'm not talking payroll, I'm talking payroll expenses, a line item on this.
Mhm.
What exactly is that for?
So to be honest with you, that would be a finance manager question.
Okay,
I don't feel comfortable speaking to the details of the.
so I can just call her or
100%.
send an email, okay?
And then if you have any concerns or questions on it, we'll definitely can bring that up for our weekly meeting or for next month's council.
Okay.
That being said, we're moving on to the police department. I assume everybody saw the staff report and the police stats. Unfortunately, our chief couldn't be with us tonight, but we have some police stats that I just wanted to go over with everybody. So number of calls for an activity is 139. We had 9 case reports, no arrests. Municipal court citations 14, warnings 92. Circuit court citations 3, citizen calls for service 47, and officer initiated contacts of 65. Chief has worked 184 hours. Our new FTE Livingston has worked 144. And most of the reason I wanted to go over this, Andrew McCullen clocks in at 18.5. So all good things.
Is he on his own?
He's not on his own yet. He's working through his FTEP right now with the chief.
Okay, and Livingston is on his own, he's full-time now?
Full-time, yes, it's still doing quite a bit at the school. As a fact, I saw him up at the school earlier today, so we still have some presence there. Max might, you've seen him up and around over
See
there?
him around quite often.
All right. So,
What is the FTEP?
this is the field. Okay.
Field training evaluation program. So,
It's like a
it's their-
qualification.
well, they have to go through the police academy, which is 16 weeks at DPSSD, but the FTEP is at your own agency, going over your policies and procedures. And then just learning how to do the job to keep everybody compliant and out of problems.
Yeah,
And he's doing well, and chief is very thorough.
yeah, I imagine.
And then I had one other question, I don't know if you can answer this or not. On the warnings, are those written or verbal?
That I couldn't speak to.
Okay. I'll Send an
I'd say
email.
most likely a combination.
Written typically. We can clarify that with the chief this month, and we can have a little bit more for the next meeting. That would bring us to you, Mr. Jason.
Yeah, sorry, we've just been busy, sorry to get a report out. Like the mayor spoke to, we have North Olive project going on, which so far has been a great project. They have all the main line in. We haven't pressure tested or chlorinated that line yet, so it's not active, obviously. All those residents along that line are getting new services new meter boxes, so it's a complete upgrade along North Olive. The tie-in will be done next week as far as tying into Maple, Maine. We've had quite a few leaks this month, a lot of residential distribution lines that have all been fixed. We're actually navigating one on Elm, putting it in a new location by Chris's house there. We're digging it up today. Working really hard on all reporting, the water side of things. We're in a really good spot right now. We have all of our lagoons down to like 8 feet, which is probably the lowest they've ever been. So we'll be able to do some sludge testing this coming summer with OAWU. And last but not least, we're starting to put QR codes on the hydrants. So that's something that we generated ourselves that haven't been done in any other city that I know of right now. So basically those QR codes will go on those hydrants. You'll be able to scan that QR code. It'll have the flow rate, who tested it, what data was tested, make, model, and a contact point for those hydrants. Yeah. Basically, we're just on the ground level with that, but we're just starting to generate those, and then we'll just navigate into generating them for all the repairs that we've done. We'll have flag posts with those QR codes, so we'll know what materials in the ground and what's been used, and it'll just make the whole process faster if we have to come back to it. So
Just like durable stickers
the very durable stickers. Yeah. That was actually the hardest part, was finding the right stickers. Yeah.
So I had a couple of questions, Jason.
Mhm.
The leaks that you're finding, are they just from age? Okay,
Aged lines.
okay. And then the other one was, and I know that this is a ways off, but when we're talking about water, it's always concerning.
And yeah,
Is there potential in the spring and summer that we're gonna have an issue this year
be
because
frank,
of the
to
water?
be frank and honest with you, possible, most likely.
Okay.
It's probably the lowest, and I hate to get into it right now, but the creek is probably the lowest we've seen it at this time.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay.
I would make the assumption that you should be concerned for the water every year at this point. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
just,
know, but they've done such a good job with all of this. But because, I mean, Oregon is known for rain, and we have not hardly had any this year, and the snow is next to nothing. So do we need to get the water committee back going again, or are we as council gonna deal with it? As far as, I mean, I don't know what the water committee could do other than, because Jason's gonna be the one that says restriction or not, and you know, all of that.
so as far as that goes, I think that, being February, we see how the spring goes, see where we are with our,
Can do anything proactively though, like starting to spread the word early as far as like conservation and stuff instead of reactive.
So actually Jason's put into place along with his guys, 2 years ago, I think, where when flow levels start to be reduced, they will automatically switch us to
Right,
sort of
yeah.
the beginning stages of it.
So we have a
Yeah.
streaming current monitor that keeps track of that, so we can actually dictate which level.
Sorry, I meant like getting the word out to people, not to like leave your stuff running
Yeah.
all day.
I know now is not the time or place, but I would, if we were to get into it, but I would just put out. For me, I think the city really needs to make an effort to dredge the intake. And I'll just leave it at that. Or the impound, excuse me. I was thinking intake because
I
I
think it takes good,
but it is
yeah.
the impound. I think that should be first and foremost of your efforts.
Bird.
Is that the big rectangle like cement?
No, it's the one upstream up,
Oh, yeah, no, sorry,
but
I understand now.
I don't want to get too far off track here, so.
That's in the works, we hope. Do you have anything else, Jason?
I don't have anything else. No.
Next would be committee reports. Planning Commission does not have a report this week. Economic Development Committee. Did you have anything before the slideshow? Jen?
Well, I think I can comment after.
Or during, if you want.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So.
I'll just say we've worked hard and it's exciting information.
Economic Development Committee's been working on street trees. And so as we're moving forward with it, we actually have just a little PowerPoint that kind of shows what we've been working on and where things are going to be going. So it looks like we've started that. Urban forestry is something that we've chosen as opposed to just street trees. And the purpose for it is our urban forestry has already occurred in our parks. So we could potentially find some grant money in both, or for the trees and be able to use the SDCs for both parks and from streets potentially. So it becomes a little bit easier to pay for. On the first slide, or the next slide would be the meeting program, and it just shows the background, the planning and selection of trees, implementation, maintenance strategies, and the benefits and impacts on the community. So moving right along. The background of the street tree project. So you'll see a lot of people concerned with which pictures those are. So the top picture is Heinrich Park, about halfway to the baseball fields. The second picture is that at the beginning of Jane Heinrich, and the bottom picture is Beulah Park during Derby days. And this just mentions, can everybody see that and read that, or you want me to read through it? Just kind of explaining the history and where we've been with it and kind of how that works in Yamhill. So moving on to the next slide, the goals. And just to highlight, increase the tree canopy on Maple Street, which would be the first block that we would start on, would be the block of the T&E, sort of from Larson House to the T&E. It would encourage economic growth, provide shade and reduce heat, foster community pride. And some people, maybe Patty Parent would like, slows people down through town. A study that was done actually shows that street trees create the illusion that if the street is narrower than it would be.
Really?
And actually causes people to slow down from before they hit the trees.
Well, I'd be a happy camper.
So we actually added that in today to this, and as I found that, and I thought that you might enjoy it the most.
Yes, I would.
Moving on, there's a picture of our lovely downtown Yamhill, and I'm not sure who's crossing the street there, but.
Looks kind of naked.
Yeah, well, the next slide, check this out. It's an idea of what it could potentially look like with some trees. And then the following slide is a similar angle with another sort of idea of that, that AI decided to come up with. Next slide would be and I kind of like, pay attention to the foliage in the back of this guy's truck and the shabby tarp. And then when you ask AI to give you street trees, it also improves the tarps. Yeah, so. Anyway, there's some ideas of what the city could look like at the benefit of street trees. I think you could all say that it was probably an improvement.
Oh, yeah.
Then the planting and selections of trees, and again, not to spend too much time on this, as we'll be seeing this again in the future, is just selecting the right trees that we'll have committees put together to decide on what those are. They'll be off-site sort of field trips to look at some nurseries that we're working with to choose which trees and where those trees would go. And then moving on to the experts. So we have been working a little bit with the Department of Forestry as well as some local nurseries. In fact, No Name Nursery, which is just outside of Yamhill, has volunteered quite a bit of time to help put some of this together and some planning that will help us get this going. So we'll be continuing on with those experts. And moving on, so the site assessment, everybody is welcome to participate in this as we will be putting these committees together. So everybody's input is valuable. on where exactly we're putting these trees on the street. And yes, we are aware that you can't put them at the street corners. That's one of the things that comes up the most. Everything will be done to ODOT or better standards as it's alongside their highway. And then again, working with those experts to prepare the soil properly. And they have these baskets that direct the roots down from the sidewalks that you don't see in some towns where you see the sidewalks heaving. Another great thing that they came up with was around the trees instead of the metal grates will be bricks that will be set with masonry sand. So as a root pushes up, the root can be removed and the sidewalk settled back down straight for ADA reasons and so forth. And it's quite less expensive to do it that way.
Get the power.
Well, and those are all things that might be coming. There could be power and water that's connecting through those, but that we have not got approval from ODOT, although we're probably making a trip down there in the next few weeks, just so you know, Jason. And then the care and maintenance protocols. Public Works is going to be assisting us a lot with some of this. And again, the committees and citizen volunteers will be kind of essential to all of this. We want it to be kind of everybody's trees.
You got it, one more now.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just kind of blasting through. There we go. I don't know who these guys are, but they seem pretty motivated. So I left a picture. So this is the volunteer and city involvement. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but we'll take on any and all volunteers that want to help with the trees. That could come down to watering, depending on if we can get water lines put in for the trees. They'll require 10 to 20 gallons of water per day during the period of time that they have been planted for the first 2 years. In advance of an objection, there is a backup plan already if we're in water curtailment of where that water will come from and not from the city of Yamhill. So that will be coming from my farm. Be driven here in an old Suburban. And you too can help water the trees with that.
Shane, did you say you already have a committee together for this?
We're putting one together. So any and all, yeah,
Make sure, never mind, we'll talk.
yeah. And then so the benefits, next slide is the benefits and impacts on the community. And I think it's pretty clear, right? So the neighborhood beautification, the increased economic development. I mean, you take a look at those streets and it kind of feel like a place you might want to stop. Make it a little nicer. It encourages outdoor activities and social interaction. And I'd agree with that. Yeah. And in conclusion, there we are. So greener urban spaces, community engagement, and then how we take care of the sustained maintenance without being a burden to our public works guys, because we get them working pretty hard. So again, I breezed through that pretty quickly tonight, but I know that we're going to be seeing these things quite a few more times coming up, and I just thought quick might be better tonight. Jenny, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll add. So again, I'm on the Economic Development Committee and also the Yamhill Downtown Association. And so with that, I've got kind of various perspectives, but I think that the key thing is the benefit that this can have to the community. I think it's quite clear that the, just kind of like that, it's just a classic placemaking, sense of place, community. You know, it just adds warmth and, you know, place to, with the shade, and it just draws people in. And like Shay was talking about with the, you know, slowing traffic down, and it's just, there's so many benefits. So we're hoping that we can get, again, like community members involved. And I know that the Downtown Association is interested in participating in this, and that's something else that we can like tie in with any of our community meetings that we do have, like really just like keep promoting this, get people involved. And I think it's just an exciting, quick, kind of not a quick fix, but a quick way to kind of like, you know, show intention that, okay, we mean things here in Yamhill, like we're here to stay, we're doing things, we're trying to draw some attention to the businesses, the main street, and so I think it's gonna be a good deal. So.
Awesome. And then also on the Economic Development Committee is Robert Davis, who would like to speak.
So I'd also like to add, last month, one of our duties was to talk to businesses about, making that field trip, since especially, Bob at TNE, I already presented this issue to him and he said two things to me. Let me know when. And yes, I would be a sponsor, which is one of the things that, the conversation wasn't brought up tonight, was we're looking for sponsors to offset the price of these trees as well. So if we can find, some money that way to help offset the cost to the city, that would be great. And that's all I've got.
All right, well, thank you.
Do you know what a tree costs? I guess it's all different.
100% depends on what the ODOT requirements are, what size of tree we go with and that sort of thing. But so that's why, again, I try to keep it short tonight because we're gonna have so many more meetings about this, I'm sure.
Are there any cities in the area that you know of that like have recently done something like this that like you could point to as an example of like, it would be cool to work in that direction?
So I don't have any examples of a city that's recently done it. However, we do have two ladies from Oregon Department of Forestry who sort of specialize in this. And so they're working right now a little bit with Department of Forestry is with the city on the ash beetle. So the idea is the biodiversity of having different types of trees, so that if there is a pest, not all of your trees fail at the same time. They have a lot of good insight and a lot of different styles and growth patterns of different trees. So that will be for an upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
Sort of where we are now is how are we gonna pay for it? And will ODOT let us do it? So that's kind of that first hurdle to get to. And then we're gonna have sort of community involvement, town hall, something along those lines. Where we all get to.
Speaking of paying for it, and I talked about trees and sponsors, but also what we also talked about was the bricks that surround the base of the trees can be individually personalized if you care to buy a brick to support this cause.
Although I did not bring those up because those have not been approved by ODOT just yet.
True,
Yep.
but it's just part of the
But there's
conversation.
plenty of fundraising opportunities,
Mhm.
is I think where Mr. Davis is going, so I thank him for that.
Thank you.
Anybody have questions on the tree project?
Nope, no, Mr. Lorax, I'm good.
Right, the tree, I don't know anything, I know that movie, but I don't have any good quotes. I wish I could
Speak for the tree.
Speak for the trees, yeah,
Yeah.
well, there's a movie, my kids watch. We also read. So moving on from the tree project to council reports. Did I hear? No, okay. So the mayor's report, first thing I wanted to say tonight on the mayor's report is just a big thanks to our staff. And I mean, everybody, let's start with the police department, the extra hours the chief's been working, trying to make sure everything runs right and everybody gets trained properly as we're rebuilding a police department after so many years. Public Works, I mean, taking care of this project, adding, as I don't know if you guys noticed, but earlier in the meeting, the Dahlia Street project, we actually negotiated a low enough price for the North Olive project that we had money left over to complete another CIP, a third of another CIP project, and not have spent all the money that we anticipated on the first one. That couldn't have been done without all the guys at Public Works. And none of that could have been done without our great office staff, Angie and Kim and Kara. I know we're supposed to refer to you by your title, but honestly, right there, it's just, it's amazing how they go out of their way and take care of everything on their free time and just make the city continue to operate at a high level. So makes it being pretty easy to be a mayor. I also wanted to thank Max. He's chosen us, like I think I spoke earlier to it about for his senior project. So we're very much looking forward to dragging you into this for a couple of weeks or however long that you need to be.
Well, I am too, so I'm ready for it.
We're gonna get you involved in is any level that you feel comfortable with, so.
Cool.
And moving on from there, we do have just something I want to speak about with the fire department. They had their Quonset hut. The roof, the tarp blew off of it in one of the storms we had a few weeks ago. That was the location that all of our, the city's Christmas decorations were. The good news is they're all outside decorations by design. They just needed a new home, so we have arranged to move them to City Hall. We don't want to, at City Hall, be a burden to the fire department. I actually wrote, we've had a MOU, so memo of understanding with the fire department for umpteen million years, I think 46, on how the tree, the decorations go up and come down each year and so forth. And so we actually wrote a letter to let them out of their MOU. And I was pleasantly surprised today to find out they may not want to be out of it. They just needed a place other than their broken Quonset hut to store them. And so we will be looking forward with the fire department to negotiating Christmas lights and more of them. The donations of Christmas lights are continuing. So we have a couple more bags that are sitting over here from one of our Economic Development Committee members. And we're going through all the old decorations, working with PGE. We're getting light or outlets put up on some more of the power poles. And so we'll have a better light display this year than we've ever had.
Could you just store all that stuff in the vendor booths?
Maybe, actually, maybe not a terrible idea. We're going through each of them. So if anybody wants to volunteer to help me turn light bulbs, we have a lot of ordinance to go through and refresh.
A testing thing that works pretty well.
Well, cool. And the fire department's giving us 300 or some odd dollars worth of light bulbs to update some
Well,
of
the
these.
city bought it. It's the city's.
But you guys got them and you're being cool, so.
Yeah. They're coming back to you.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I have for that. Do we have anybody that had turned in a council report for this month? Hearing none, we can move on to our consent agenda. I assume we've all looked that over, and that being the case, I'd take a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as is.
We have a second. Second, was asking.
Yeah.
Featherston, I.
And I.
Yeah.
Karen, I.
Corrigan, I. Yeah. It is approved. That's wonderful. And unfinished business. We don't have any. Moving on to new business. We would be considering resolution R 2026-847. It's a resolution for appointing financial manager as the budget officer for the 2026-27 fiscal year budget for ORS 294.331. So our finance manager was the budget officer at the last year's budget and has volunteered to do that again, or is being voluntold, I suppose, by us.
I just had a question on whether or not you should actually sign that. So the draft one that was sent there because she is related to you. So should you be the one to actually sign that, or should be the council president, which I think is Tim, right?
I am completely fine with Tim signing that.
I mean, I think, because you're actually just affirming the vote, if I read it right, but I wanted to make sure that that was accurate to what I was reading, so.
Yeah, so
Or maybe have him sign as well. I don't know.
I'd be happy to step aside and have,
I
go ahead.
don't think it's an issue because she doesn't get compensated more by being the budget officer. So it's not him signing it isn't.
And we did actually send this all through legal
Okay.
before I was mayor. In order to make sure, And there's actually been steps taken, so there's layer of insulation
Well, there's
between
layer-
myself and,
On the document, that's what I was just,
yeah,
so, okay.
that's before it's signed. We will look into that. And just so you know, I mean, there is no financial benefit to myself or my family, although I will be voting. I will declare a potential conflict of
Yeah,
interest.
no, it's,
If he goes into overtime or some such thing. You never know. But thank you. That's good. So with that, unless somebody else would like to be the budget officer this year.
No, I mean, what's the difference between what she's doing now and the budget officer? When it comes right down to it, when it comes to how money is distributed or
She's
whatever
still
the case may
budget
be.
officer Right now.
She's the budget officer from last year.
Yeah,
This would provide zero changes. In past years, you've had the city administrator be the budget officer.
okay.
But that's not, I'm not an employee of the city and I'm not sure that that would be appropriate for me to be the
Right.
budget officer.
She's the budget. For the resolution, she's still the budget officer right now, currently, for the last budget.
Correct. We're just,
And she's still advising us on the last budget.
and there's a committee that works underneath her while they
Still
prepare the
prevents it,
budget.
that we're all on.
Present,
Yeah,
Yep.
so that makes
responsible
sense.
for ensuring, and then
So she would be responsible for writing next year's budget and presenting the beginning of it. And then, of course, she wouldn't even conduct the meetings. She,
monitoring expenditures during the budget year and notifying, so she's still doing that. She's still acting as budget officer. I'm sorry.
We don't have any more contract services then.
no more contract services.
Okay.
Just the audits that would get done.
Right, those are the state audits. When our finance manager was new, we actually brought in an outside assistant to make sure that everything was polished. But even the outside, our consultant was under the impression that they were no longer needed.
Yeah.
So,
I make a motion to approve resolution R 2026-847, a resolution appointing financial manager as the budget officer for the 2026/2027 fiscal year budget per ORS 294.331.
I second the motion.
and a vote.
Featherston, aye.
And I.
Askey,
Karen, I.
And I'll abstain. And then, moving on to consider the adoption of the City of Yamhill 2026 budget calendar.
I move to adopt the City of Yamhill 26-27 budget calendar.
second.
And a vote.
Second.
Featherston, aye.
And I.
Askey,
Karen, I.
Corrigan, aye. All right, so now information announcements for the good of the order. City offices are closed February 16th for President's Day. Does anybody else have any announcements?
What day is that?
Monday.
Monday, the 16th.
This upcoming Monday?
Yeah. And anybody else has anything? This would be the time. Super fast.
As a sitting member of the budget committee for 3 years,
This isn't probably a podium issue. We could just do it from the chair. Go ahead.
whichever, I don't care. I just wanted to address Patty's concern. What she does is a lot. She has to work with Russ Schultz. She has to develop the budget. She has to get it in order. She has to print it. It's heavy duty stuff and she works tirelessly and is a very efficient. In fact, the last budget only took us 1 day, which in the past has taken several days.
In order to make sure that we run the meeting correctly and appropriately, I'm just gonna ask that we not do this right now, but nice things are being said and we can discuss it just right after we adjourn.
Yeah, okay.
Fantastic. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
We adjourn.